Okay, welcome back to day 301. I was actually going to say what date it was instead, and that's not correct. uh, it's actually 11 o'clock. That's fun. It's a little quiet. Anyways, I think my ears just stuffed up, not it actually been quiet, but anyways, point was, I am here on my desktop for the first time in a week, and I'm like, okay, well, let me wipe it off because my house is really dusty and buggy and all that. So I'm like, let me just clean it off. So I decided to do that, and as I'm wiping it off, I see a very juicy spider, dark spider, real juicy. Like, I don't think it was harmful or anything. It's just like, bro, really? I would have walked, if I just didn't wipe it on my chair, I would have walked straight through your web, because it was from this chair to the wall and on the floor. You would have been on my leg, it would have been a whole thing, and it's like, hey, why are you messing up my house? I'm like, why did you choose my chair? So yeah, I had to get that guy outside, so I hope he made it outside, because we have a little grubby thing, and I'm like, dude, Mom, would you just do that, because I don't want to have allergies? And she's like, okay. So she did it, but I'm just like, come on, spider, come on, bro. So, anyways, I called to reschedule my MRI I have, because I have to deal with that, and, I'm like, okay, well, let me reschedule it. So I called, and it was the oldest nurse known to man. Picked up the phone, and I was like, I was trying to do it myself, through the whatever, make appointments thing, but it said I can't, and I said they redirected me to you. She's like, who's they? And I'm like, the system, sorry, I mean, like, it redirected, like, that system redirected me to you. She's like, okay, and she's just really old sounding, and she's like, okay, so what are your symptoms? I'm like, I don't have symptoms that need to be handled. I have an appointment I want to reschedule. She's like, no, what are your symptoms? I'm like, okay, my feet go to sleep. She starts typing, and I'm like, no, I have an appointment. She goes, you want an appointment? I'm like, yes, I want to change my appointment. She's like, it looks like you have an appointment for an MRI already. And I'm like, yes, I have one, but I need to change it to a different date. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So she tries that, and she's like, you have to call it, because it's like 5 in the morning. She's like, you gotta call them directly. I'm like, okay. She's like, here's the number, and I'm like, cool. So she's like, blue, 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 and she's saying it, and she's like, okay, that's in this area. I'm like, okay. And she's like, they're open from 7 to 7. I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay. And I asked about a different place, and it's like also a specialist. She's like, oh yes, so the doctor is Dr. Blink, and she spelled it out for me, and she tells me where this doctor is, and I'm just like, that's great, it's online, it doesn't matter. She's like, I got you though. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm not writing any of this down because it doesn't matter to me. But at this point, I'm like, I have the number for the specialist already. I just thought, because they said the doctors don't know how to set up like this through the insurance, where they're like, oh, call this person and make this appointment. But I'm like, that's literally not how that works. It's like a teacher was telling me how to get a disabilities note, and he's like, you gotta do this, and I'm like, that's literally not true. Where he's like, automatically every time you sign up for a class they'll send it out. I'm like, that's not true, I send it out. I have a note that they gave me. I choose which ones to give out, because apparently some teachers get really, really mad. If you said, like, at the school, would get really mad at students for giving them disability notes when it didn't affect the class. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, just like you get a disability note, just ignore it then if it doesn't affect you. Anyways, that teacher fucking sucks. Oh my god, like, oh my god, he was the worst. Like, literally, I hold grudges a lot, but usually when I hold grudges, they're fake grudges, or I wish it was different, but it is what it is kind of situation. With him, I wish I was a lot meaner and a lot more persistent about my disability, but the problem is, it's like, it shouldn't be on the person with a disability to force the teacher into behaving, and it really fucking sucked that it was me that had to be the one to get as much as I did out of that teacher. It just like, maybe the system should have stood up for me, maybe someone else, maybe the teacher shouldn't be ableist as, oof. Anyways, the point was, what was the point? Oh yeah, people don't know the system that they're part of, because I never had to hop through it. So anyways, so the old nurse was like, okay, you know, here's the number that you got to, and you want to label it whatever hormone doctors are called, like endo somethingology. And I was like, okay, or ist, or whatever she said. And I was like, okay. She's like, okay, you want to label it this? And I was like, oh, I know how to take notes. But I also am not going to label it that word because I don't know what it is. It's not like, once she said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that one. But, I don't know how to write it. I don't know for sure. Could guess. But I could also name it testosterone doctor, T doctor, hormone doctor, hormones, HRT, hormone replacement therapy, T shots, what, you know what I'm saying? I can name it so many other things, and then I don't have to name it that. But she was just so sweet, and she was so kind, and at the end, she just kept apologizing for not actually being able to do anything for me, like make an appointment or reschedule. I was like, no, darling, you're sweet, I love you so much, but no, I'm good. Like, it's fine, I'll just call back tomorrow. So I didn't do it yet. I slept for a very long time, very deep sleep. And I guess not the longest, but the deepest sleep. Just so deep asleep. And I hate it because when you have pain, when you wake up in dreams, your brain kind of has the pain already. Like for me, when I'm asleep and I have a headache, I can feel it. Or like sometimes my wanted to hear if my cat was meowing. So what happened was, you have the pain, but it's not like at the forefront. And so when I wake up, I woke up and the pain just fell on me. My wrist hurt really bad, my back hurt, my shoulders, my head, and it just slams on you, and you know you just will have this pain, and it just instantly kind of fell on me, and I had to be like, okay. And you know, through the day you get used to it. It's not less, but you get used to it. But it's just like, oh my god. And I don't even have chronic pain like other people. I could not imagine having chronic pain. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I couldn't imagine having chronic pain because it's just waking up and just realizing, yeah, this is what I have. This is constant. This is what it is. It is what it is. It sucks. So, I forgot that my hand actually fell asleep really badly before it started hurting. So I'm actually concerned it isn't my lower back, but instead higher up or something. Because she was like, oh, okay, your wrist started hurting, blah, blah, and I forgot to mention that my hands would fall asleep, and they were so asleep, I woke up to it, and I forgot to mention that, and now I'm like, great, what if the MRI is going to be messed up, and I'm going to do it for no reason, and I don't know if that's a valid concern or not a valid concern, because I'm like, well, my hands with my back or whatever, and she's like, no, I don't think that would be the case, I think it's your lower back. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you think. But now I'm like, what if it isn't? Because my hands fell asleep too. And I don't know. It just like she tapped on like my wrist, like the inside of my wrist, down on the inside of my wrist. She's like, I want to know if it feels like numb or tingly. And I'm like, whenever you go the bunk on like the knee, it sends like a shock wave, and it shock waved my fingers, but I don't know if that was tingly, like it's like a numb, like she said. And I was like, no. I'm like, what if I should have explained it more? And it just, I don't know, because the last thing I want is to do it wrong or do this test for no reason. But I'm like, okay, I shouldn't stress about it, because if I need a new one, so be it. We'll get someone to help me pay. I don't know even how much it will be, but oh my god, I'm like, it's gonna be money. But if it is, it is. You know what I'm saying? But my back hurts, and I just, you know. But my upper back usually hurts. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, sometimes my lower back hurts to the point where I can't bend over. Does that count? But that was like a while ago, when it was that bad. And she's just like, I think it's your lower back. And she's really, you know, she was very, very kind doctor. But now I'm concerned. I'm like, what if it isn't though? I had a lot of very often head trauma when I was a kid. So of course part of me is like, oh my god, your brain's messed up. I'm like, no, it's fine. Yeah, man, I don't know. So I have to still call them tomorrow from 7 to 7. But I'm in so much pain because I'm also not having allergies. So it's like, I don't know how to best describe it, but it's like, if, yeah, my cat was meowing. Anyways, what was I saying? What was I saying? God. Brain. Was it about the air try the I don't know. God. I don't know. I'm so tired. What was I saying? I think I just have anxiety. So I'm anxious, and it's gonna be a lot of money, but it is what it is, you know? I was like, how much time do I have left? Oh, I'm only a minute and a half in or whatever. I was like, well, no. That's incorrect. My back is itchy. I ran into a door earlier, so I'm like, I have allergies already anyway. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm tired. But my birthday's coming up right around when I have a bunch of appointments. So that's fun. Yeah, one of the appointments I have, they're like, do you want to make it for this day? And I was like, no, that's when I have a different appointment, because I don't want to be like, oh my god, that's the day I have this. Like, I'm just like not that person, so I'm like, no, I'm busy that day. And they're like, oh, okay. And then my sibling now has an appointment for that day, so I have to change it anyway. So it's like so many appointments. Oh yeah, so anyways, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like when I have I have a bunch of allergies for a very long time, for like the week straight, like I did, and then I just no allergies, like not touching stuff and going around the house and just getting baseline allergies. I try to really just have no allergies these days. And then severe allergies is actually touching the dogs and cats and stuff, dust. But anyways, those are the worst, obviously. But what happened is I had an appointment. Nope. I had, and I did the things so I couldn't not have allergies like I normally do. So when I stop having allergies, suddenly my body is just panicking. I'm in so much more pain, but I know it's like my body is withdrawing and recovering from having allergies for so long, where I know this is a thing that's just happening, where I feel like ants are biting me. Like my whole face is itchy. It feels like ants are just biting me down my torso, on my back, and everything. It feels, I'm in so much like I struggle to use the word pain for it, but it is pain. It's really bad, where just like, okay, it's like ants are just biting me, to the point where you're like, oh well, you're exaggerating, or it's kind of like ants. No, I one time had ants on me biting me, and I thought it was allergies, but since I had allergies because I was walking my dog outside, I didn't want to then scratch my neck. And when I got home, I'm like, okay, screw it, whatever. I go like this, and I just had an ant, and a couple ants on me. So he must have just crawled or jumped or fell from somewhere and landed on me. So there was an ant biting me, and I'm like, this is just allergies. Like, that is what I feel right now, like actual ants biting me. So if you're ever like, oh, maybe no, it literally is ants biting me. So, fun fact, could not tell the difference. So I'm going through it, and I know tomorrow I'll feel better for it, but tonight sucks. Especially because tomorrow I really want to get my hair shaved, because my scalp likes it better when I don't have hair. And so I'm like, I would love just to have it shaved. It's also kind of irritating to have, especially because I'm so itchy. I'm very irritated by it. So if I want to get a haircut, or if I want to go do something or whatever, it's just easier, man. It's just way easier in life if I can touch things and do things. But oh god.